Today, we're sitting down with someone who's making history here at Missionary Flights International, Hannah Umberger, our very first female DC 3 pilot. Her story isn't just about flying planes, it's about following God's call, breaking barriers, and inspiring the next generation to use their gifts for His kingdom. Let's dive in and hear Hannah's journey.
Good morning and welcome. Today I have a special guest. This is Hannah Umberger. She is Missionary Flights' first female DC-3 pilot. I am so honored to speak to her, and hopefully after this conversation you will be too. And another thing as well, if there's any questions that I didn't ask, please feel free to drop it in the chat, and hopefully she will give us another opportunity to speak to her. So Anna, tell me about yourself just a little bit.
I am from New Jersey, and I've been in Florida for about 4 years now, flying for almost 10 years. I was flight instructing before I moved here, and when I started aviation, my goal was to use aviation for mission work, and that's how I ended up at Missionary Flights International.
Wow. How does it feel knowing that you have basically break the barrier of being the first female pilot for Missionary Flights for the DC-3 specifically?
I honestly feel kind of humbled. It's a privilege to fly such a special airplane. And when I came, I wasn't anything special. I know I love flying, and that's what I'm passionate about. So, and I love missions. So when I came here and, everyone's like, oh my goodness, we've never had a female pilot. Like, my goal was never to, I don't know how I want to explain it. Breaking barriers wasn't really part of the goal, but I'm like, hey, that's a nice thing to happen in the process. So, yeah.
What made you choose missionary work?
When I was a little girl, I grew up in a Christian home, and I became a believer when I was young. I was 5 years old. And I remember my favorite part of church was every time we had missions conference. I loved learning about new cultures, other religions, and also just learning that, there's a lot of places in the world where, the access to the gospel is not quite as easy as it is here in the States. And so I love talking to the missionaries. I was passionate about it. And when I got older, it was something that I still loved, but something I wasn't willing to commit to. And God got a hold of my heart in high school and just showed me that, if you're in the middle of God's will, regardless of what it is, that's where the joy is going to come from, and your purpose. We have a lot of things that we want to do. I have lots of ideas, a lot of things, a lot of hobbies, a lot of ambitions, but you're not really going to be fulfilled if you're not where God wants you to be. That's where I committed to do what God wanted me to do. And I didn't know what that was going to look like, but in the back of my mind, I had a feeling missions might be part of it. And so missions came first before aviation, but when I learned that you could do both is really when I was like, this is where I fit in.
Nice.
Nice.
Now, I know you didn't go out to break any barrier, but how do you hope your story is going to inspire the next generation of young women looking at ministry or missionary aviation?
So that's a great question. When I started aviation, there was not, I never had a female instructor, never really had fellow female students. And I was okay with it, but it was kind of isolating a little bit. And then once I started getting into missions, there was literally nobody. There was no female pilots that I knew of. And when I tried getting advice, I won't go into detail, but it was kind of I was discouraged from pursuing mission as a female in aviation. So now that I am where I am, one of my favorite things is when it happens frequently where people say, hey, I know this girl that wants to be a pilot, or I know this girl that wants to get into missions. Would you be willing to talk to her? Because I I so badly was missing that in my journey. And so if I can encourage someone else that yes, it can be done and this is how you can do it, I think it would have really encouraged me and also maybe quickened the process a little bit. Over the years, I've met some females that have really inspired me, and men as well, but just having the perspective of another female that's gone through some similar stuff has really been an encouragement to me. So I hope that going forward, I continue to help other girls as well.
I think you will. I definitely think you will. So thank you for not quitting. Thank you for continuing what God placed in your heart, because other women seeing this, or other children, other young girls seeing this, now know that it's possible. And once someone knows that something is possible, they will try it and they will do it. So good for you. Good for you. Now that you are in ministry and you have gone to several different places, and for the last 10 years you've been doing this, what is one of the most inspiring stories that you have seen in the fields?
So there's lots of inspiration that I've heard from other people. From a personal side of things, I'd say there was a flight, I guess it's been close to 2 years ago now, where we had, when things kind of got really out of control in Port-au-Prince, there were lots of missions that were either trapped or had to relocate because of the violence. And one of them was, I don't know if you would entitle it an orphanage, but essentially there was a Canadian couple that started a mission, and there were girls that were brought to them from off the streets that were either orphans or were not in a home where they were being provided for. So they had, I believe it was 11 girls, and their compound, just outside their compound, people were killed by the gangs. So they knew they had to relocate, but they couldn't come to the States because of their visa status. And so because of some connections they had, the best option that they could do was to bring the girls to Belize, which is not somewhere that MFI usually flies. Every time you fly a new country, there's a lot of paperwork, and it's not as easy as just filing a flight plan and going. There's a lot of paperwork involved. And also fuel burn is a consideration as well, because our range is limited by how much weight we have on board. So anyways, it was very much a God story, and I know that they wrote an article, I believe JJ wrote an article about the trip, but it was really rewarding for me to be part of that, because sometimes you just you kind of forget why you do what you do. And so to see these girls go from a dangerous city in Port-au-Prince where there's no opportunity, the school systems were essentially shut down because of the violence. So to see them have a whole new opportunity in the country of Belize was an inspiration to me, even though, I was just a small part of it, but it was just a reminder of why I got into this. And then more recently, I went on a trip to Haiti. Finally, I fly there all the time, but I never spent the night. And so finally this past year, I had the opportunity to go on behalf of Missionary Flights in order to see how we could do a better job and visit our missions and kind of keep a little more accountability. And I had no idea what to expect. I just went knowing that God was in it, but I really was, I was a little concerned because I wasn't really sure what I was doing. So it was very much what I needed in my life. And hopefully I was a blessing to, hopefully I did my job well also, but I know that the trip impacted me in a way that unless you go serve on the field, it's really hard to explain. We talk about missions here, but until you go experience it, it's a totally different experience. And it was just, it was incredible to see that MFI has made such a huge impact. We may not be on the field doing Bible lessons, we may not be leading church conferences or evangelizing in the way that, traditional missions, that's how we view it. But in order for those missions to do those things, they need supplies and they need transportation. And because of the way things are in Haiti right now, our operation is like one of the few ways that people can get what they need. And so to see how a small job of flying an airplane back and forth is making a difference in literally hundreds of missions, is humbling and honoring to know that, just by me doing a small part and everyone else doing their small part, we're making an impact on eternity. So yeah, I'd say those were my two most inspirational moments in aviation.
I enjoy that story. As you were talking, I heard you say small part. And I think about the fact that right now we have over 600 missions. And each one of those missions have different people within it. And each one of those missions are supporting someone else or other orphanage or other people. The impact, you may think it's a small grain, but it is leaving waves. You are touching thousands of lives.
And I'm doing what I love.
Yeah.
So I know it's not exactly part of the interview, but I did want to just mention, because I do speak with a lot of young people, and a lot of the times it is aviation specific or mission aviation specific. But every time I talk to young people, my heart is that young people know that God designed them for a purpose.
That's true.
And if we were all pilots, the world will be a crazy place. But also, we don't need everyone to be a pilot. We need everybody to do what God wants them to do, and He's equipped each of us in a different way and given us each different opportunities. So when I talk to young people, I just try to ask them, like, what is it that you're interested in? What do you love? Because God can use that. Like going to the field, Haiti, there's so many different ways that God uses people's gifts and opportunities to spread the gospel. So we're all on the same page. Our mission is to spread the gospel and to love the Lord and serve the Lord. And so there's so many different ways to do that, whether that's through athletics or through feeding programs or through teaching ministries. God's given each of us different opportunities, different gifts, and whatever it is that God's, like you're in media and God's given you that, you love what you do and you're good at it. And so using that for God's glory, like one thing's not more important than another. God's just made us all different, and I think it's a beautiful thing.
I agree 100%. I was talking to a group of people this weekend, and that literally was what I was talking about, using your gifts for the kingdom. And I referenced the fact that we never ask our hands to hear because we have ears for that. But each part of our body, every member, whether it's your ears, your eyes, your mouth, your nose, all have a different function. That's what makes up the whole part. So you're 100% correct. But small still doesn't doesn't translate to what you do. So yes, thank you for that. Now, what challenges have you faced that you think people should know about, no matter how tough they are to talk about?
That's a loaded question. I guess from a ministry side of things, I've been involved in ministries outside of this one as well, throughout college and even after college. And I think I actually went to Bible college, and it was to study missions. So I was very focused on ministry. And when I first graduated, I took a job that was one of the hardest things I've ever done. That was, I guess you would say, outside my skill set. And I knew God wanted me to do it, but the biggest lesson I learned was that sometimes when we serve other people, a lot of the times you're not going to always get a thank you. You're not always going to get praise. And you need to be okay with that because that's not why you're doing it. So, yeah, I mean, it was eye-opening. I remember you give to people. I was working with kids and I felt like I was giving everything that I had, and I was expecting at least, like, I don't know, some amount of love or respect in response. And when that didn't happen, I think my whole concept of ministry was just crumbling. And so it was a dark time in my life, but also it was profound because I realized that if I'm serving with the goal of expecting praise or respect or love, then I'm doing it for the wrong reason, and I'm never going to truly be fulfilled. So we serve the Lord, and if we do get those things, it's a great thing. But it's not always going to happen.
Wow.
So that would be probably the biggest challenge from a ministry standpoint. From an aviation standpoint, I'd say I'm probably my own worst enemy. We battle with our mind, with insecurities, with laziness, with whatever the case may be. We deal with all of it. And so the greatest barrier that I've had was barriers that I set up in my mind. So, yeah, which the only way to overcome that is with the Word of God and to know who God says you are. Because otherwise you're going to limit yourself, or you're going to have an unrealistic expectation of who you are and how much you can accomplish when it's really not about you.
Oh, that's good. That's really profound. That's really good. And more people need to hear that, because you're right. There are times where we don't hear a thank you and all of a sudden we stop because we feel like they're being ungrateful. But we weren't doing it for them to begin with. We're doing it because we're commissioned to help. So yeah, that's really good. Now, when flying, because again, the DC-3 is so old, what's the difference between flying the DC-3 and the modern airplanes that you fly?
So as far as the size goes, it's a heavy airplane. There's no automation, so there's no autopilot. Just you and your co-pilot. So that's different than most aircraft nowadays. And it's also a tail dragger, which makes it very unique. The only tail draggers that I really had experience with or had ever really seen were all single engine, maybe 180 horsepower at the most. You don't see them very often. They're more challenging to fly. So when you add two engines and it's 29,000 pound airplane, it's unique. It's very unique. It's not really quite like any other aircraft that I've flown. The age, I mean, the avionics have been updated, so they're actually very similar to some of the GPS and all that would be similar to ones that somebody in a flight school might be using. But there's also radar, and it's got turbine engines, so it's more reliable and in some ways a little simpler. So, yeah.
What was your first time like flying the DC-3?
Super fun. Every time I fly, I'm like, this is fun. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I know. I wish I had like a more mature answer for that, but it's fun. Yeah.
Okay. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
Okay.
It reminds you of like what being a pilot's all about. So.
Okay. All right. So if you could pick, just a fun question.
Okay.
If you could pick any celebrity to be your co-pilot for a day, who would it be and why?
Interesting. Honestly, believe it or not, I'd probably say Tom Cruise. Not because I'm a huge fan of like him as an actor, but I do know that he's an experienced pilot. So and I've heard actually from a friend of a friend who I guess instructed him that he's pretty sharp. So I would love to just see kind of pick his brain, how he manages his celebrity, but also, expects a lot of himself as a pilot. So I think that'd be interesting.
Tom Cruise, if you're listening. Did you see he just came out with a new Missionary Impossible? I was like,
Oh, yeah,
wow.
no, I didn't see that. I don't keep up.
Oh.
Yeah, but I guess I'll have to watch it now.
This was really good. This was really insightful. Not just from a female's perspective, driving or flying a DC-3, but from a spiritual level, as far as the obstacles that you had to get over, as far as not even having a true influence when you were learning, when you wanted to go in that direction, your tenacity to continue to move forward, and now again being a blaze trailer for other young people, not just young people, but female as well. And a lot of times, because we have no role model in the field, we just assume that it's not achievable. Because we do hear the bad stories, we hear all the bad. And so when you see someone who break the barrier and move through and basically says, I know that there are barriers, but my God is bigger, that speaks volume. That speaks volume. So don't stop what you're doing. Have fun with it. Drive both planes, do missionary and commercial, have fun. But don't stop doing this because you are a true inspiration.
Thank you.
In every way. One more question. I hear you also ride a Harley or a bike.
Tell
me about that.
Harley, but yeah, they talk about I'm not quite midlife crisis, but I always wanted to ride a motorcycle, and I started a new job, and my schedule changed, and I guess I just like had a moment where I was like, I'm not getting any younger, and there's some things that I wanted to do for a long time, and I'm like, if I don't do them now, they're not gonna happen.
True.
So yeah, I just Googled like an online motorcycle course and went and got training, and then found a motorcycle and was like, okay, like mark that box. So
wow. And guys, she also skydived, just to let you know.
once.
What? That's enough.
I'll do it again though. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us. And again, for our viewers, just to let you know, if you have any other questions for Hannah, just reach out to us via chat or leave it in the comments, and we'll set something else up for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hannah Umberger. Her journey is one of faith, perseverance, and saying yes to God's call. From growing up in a Christian home, to wrestling with doubts as a teenager, to discovering a passion for missions and aviation, Hannah's story is a powerful reminder that God equips those he calls. To learn more, visit missionaryflights.org. Thank you for watching.